Okay.
Hello, one and all, and welcome to the most fantastic interview with the one, the only, the Shawn Keller.
See you all in there. Oh,
Yes, yes, and while I say interview, I totally don't mean interview. In fact, our lovely Shawn here has lots of stories to tell. A number of stories, in fact, about different things, one of which being the wonderful world of the animation industry.
you want to learn about animation? Well, you've come to the wrong place.
Yes,
I've
yes.
got horrifying stories about
All
all kinds of wacky ass shit that happened in the animation industry. Anyway,
wacky, wacky, wacky things indeed. So, to get us started, I suppose, our friend, okay, so let's get the introduction out of the way. We've obviously just now seen Shawn Keller. Myself is named Memely, and we have our wonderful, wonderful Spec here at our side. Hi, Spec. Say hi.
hello, I'll be asking some questions related to the stories that I brought up. We're just kind of winging this whole thing, so hey, it'll be fun.
Hey, yeah, yeah, for certain. And because Spec actually has a little bit more context to some things that I may have missed myself, Spec, actually, if you'd like to open up with anything that was really on your mind to start, and we'll just kind of snowball from there, see where we go, and head off into the unknown.
It's gonna be hard to beat that enthusiasm, but I was thinking we can start off with, everybody has a start somewhere in their life and getting a job, and everybody has their own backstory and lore in that way. So I was thinking, do you have any interesting stories from like your childhood, teenagerhood, or like just college or anything before getting into the industry? Like, what inspired you to like start drawing in the first place, or anything like that? I guess is the way
Okay,
to put
well,
it.
how I got into animation was a complete and utter accident. In high school, I got a D minus in art, and I got A pluses in algebra, police sciences, and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to emulate my hero Columbo, just wear a big, huge trench coat and a stinky cigar, and harass celebrities with repetitive questions over and over again. But then someone said, but at the time I was just drawing in the back of homework, like I was drawing like Secret Squirrel and Robin Hood and all that. And of course, like all kids do, like I was basically just copying that character Robin Hood and just doing my own type of a Fox character, which is the one that is in the YouTube cartoons. I just thought, like, why not use that character? Because like it's because then I can use that one gag that he's just a cheap knockoff of a certain bow wielding fox, which is the actual truth. So my friends said, like, well, why don't you cement some stuff into Disney? Like, I don't know anything about animation. Like, if they got all these professionals and all that. I thought, why not? So I sent three Fox drawings and two Cylon warriors from Battlestar Galactica. And the letter was like, blah, blah, blah. I just graduated. If you don't like the drawings, just go ahead and throw them away. Sent that off, and it was the last week of high school. I was uh, graduating the age of 17, and one week I got a letter back from Disney, like, we would like to hire you. And it said to like call this number, like, and I thought this was like a gag from my mom's work. And so I called up like, oh, Disney, huh? What's your address there? And they rambled off the address like, oh, this is real.
Oh
And
yeah.
so because I said I just graduated, they thought I that they probably thought I meant college. And so I had to get a work permit to be able to work there because like Disney's a union shop and they can't legally hire anyone under 18. And so I got into the union automatically, and so like I was the youngest person to ever get hired into Disney. But then that got beaten out by James Baxter when he was on Roger Rabbit. He was in England, and I think he was 16. And so I think James Baxter now has the youngest animator to ever start in Walt Disney Animation. So when I got in there, they basically hire people that have like huge portfolios of like life drawings, paintings, and character sketches, and they turn down people all the time. But the Don Bluth people were going to be heading on out. They're working on Fox and Hound, and I sent these Fox drawings, and so they hired me. So I got in as like an accidental fluke. It would never happen again in a million years. But those were kind of fun, wacky days.
Man. And to think that you thought that was a prank at first.
Oh yeah, because like I'm thinking. no one's gonna hire me. It's like I just sent them like 5 pencil drawings.
So sorry, reiterate me here. So you just sent it, like you just sent these in as like a gag or a joke or just in general, just long
Yeah, well,
shot.
yeah, it was like it was long shot that I didn't even think was gonna even pan out. I thought, well, everyone is telling me that I should, so I took some pencil drawings and like 2 Cylon warriors from Battlestar Galactica and 3 Fox characters and all that. Sent them in, and they hired me. It's like, okay, well, I guess I won't be going to the police department now.
Well, I guess the question that I suppose everybody would be wanting to ask is after a getting a D in art and after getting hired, how much did you rub it in your art teacher's face?
Oh, well, the art, now I would have gotten an F in my art class, but I did a drawing of him with a big whip and he was slaying the entire class. And it so warmed his heart that he gave me a D- then. Because like it was the art class where he wanted everyone to like paint the Mona Lisa, recreate the David and all that kind of stuff. Like, I just know how to draw like secret squirrel. So when it comes down to it, I'm not really an artist. I just know how to. I have these pre-drawn shapes in my head. So if you ask me to do a life drawing, I'm completely lost. I don't know how the body works. Um, so like I can only draw like shapes and formulas that I've seen in the past. So that's why everything I draw looks very derivative of something from like that looks like something from like Hanna-Barbera of the 60s and 70s and all that, or Disney or as Robin Hood. So if you're looking for a character designer to do like a brand new show, you probably don't want to use me. But if you want something that looks like a cheap copy of Robin Hood, well then I'm your person.
Based? Okay, cool. So like when you did start submitting your applications and things like that, was there just like a link you went to, or did some of your teachers and art teachers or anything like that have connections to these people? How did you just find where you're supposed to send these things to just get them out to the people? Like where was your process there?
Um, I somehow got the address of for the Disney main lot, which was I think was 500 South Buena Vista, and so I just sent off 500 South Buena Vista animation apartment, um, and sent it on in, and it just made its way there. Like nowadays, if you send a portfolio into Disney, you have to follow protocol. You must go to their website, download the format. All these drawings must be set in this type of format, or they won't even look at it now. But actually, now I don't think there's an animation department there anymore. It's been kind of really shut down. Like I think there's like just a skeleton crew of like the few people that I originally started there with. It's now all CG, but I don't with all the stuff that's going in the studio there now. I don't know what's going on there now.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that that's a good point for us to springboard into the next part.
No.
Spec. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I'm making you springboard into the next part. Yes, you.
So, how was your experience or any interesting stories working at Disney? Because I know you had some work on Black Cauldron and Hunchback of Notre Dame and Atlantis, so it'd be interesting to hear some tales about those working on those movies and just how everything was and how it was like the workflow and the deadlines and all that.
Well, back in the early days, like Disney was like a real family organization. It was run by just a main executive, Ron Miller, then followed by Don Duckwall.
I don't
Uh,
know his name.
the Disneyland people had one executive, so it was like just very few executives. Like now it's bloated. It's like hundreds and thousands of executives and vice presidents, and that's why everything costs so expensive there because they're got way too many people there. But it was like a real family environment. So the films weren't as good, but it was the funnest times. Every single day there were high school shenanigans or like college prank things going on every day. Like uh,
Really?
Chris Buck was this animator that had would collect all these dolls. And so Mark Dindal in the effects department, Mark soon became a director, but they would like do things like they would kidnap his dolls and leave ransom notes and all that kind of stuff. and Tim Burton, who was there in the department, and he would do really weird things to Chris Buck. Well, like he would hide in Chris Buck's closet all day long, just so when Chris would be done at work, he's all alone in his room, and he's getting ready to go home. He opens the closet to get his coat, and there's Tim, just like staring like some ghoul. Or there's a day when Tim Burton would hop up on Chris' desk and just stare him like a gargoyle all day long and wouldn't even move a muscle. There were all kinds of things going on all the time. We had like I told you a little bit before about the ape battles and stuff, finding a cheap ape suit. Um,
The ape tapes.
yeah, or like no, uh, it's a little. You couldn't do this now, but like I found the first ape suit I found, I just found like this orangutan head, and I found like a Japanese schmuck and a headband. It was for Christmas. So, and handing out beer in the studio was kind of a no-no then. So, like, I would come in as the Oriental ape, and I would be on a chair, and Glenn Keane was like pushing me in the chair, and I'd be going from room to room, and I would kick the door, like, ooh, and I would just throw a beer at someone's head. And so we'd go door to door, and this one girl, I forgot her name, but at first we thought she was joking. We went, ooh, and she just screamed like, ah, and she ran down the hallway. Glenn just impromptu just takes me and just starts pushing me down the hallway. And Glenn was like a athlete, so he's pushing me really hard and fast. We're chasing this girl down the hallway. She's screaming. She uh, runs upstairs, and so we take the elevator, and it was so perfect. The elevator's doors open, and she's there. I went, "Woo!" And she just screams, and we were chasing her. Well, it turned out that she really has a fear of people in costumes, and then we felt really bad about it.
Oh no! Oh
That's
But
so
no!
awkward.
Part of me wonders why Disney has a skeleton crew now.
That's a bit odd.
Nah, it's,
but
it's
like
it's funny.
every single day in those days, it was like college frat things going on. It was the funnest day. It was like you go into work, and it's like you loved every single day of work. It's like there was some weird crap going on, or like this one time Tim Burton had to have his wisdom tooth extract out of his mouth.
Oh
So
no.
so he was told to go home because there'd be a lot of bleeding. But he came in back into work. He would sit in the commissary, and the directors of the Foxhound were over there, and Tim would be eating a ham sandwich, just bleeding all down the sandwich. And the director was like so disturbed that they had to get up and just leave because this guy's just bleeding all over his mouth. Um,
Were
let's
you
say,
friends with Tim Burton?
well, Tim went to live action, and I think he only talked to like about a few people. I don't quite blame him because when people go really big and all the friends will try to glom on, like, hey, can you get me a job there? So I don't blame him for kind of cutting it because like he was probably being hounded by everyone he knows him. He got in live action by the most amazing fluke too. Like he was doing some experimental films at Disney when this new trendy executive guy was there trying to do some like new trendy type things. And the first experimental film he did was didn't really work all the well. It was Hansel and Gretel with an all Asian cast. So it was like a strange combination of Hansel and Gretel and kabuki stuff, and it was really kind of odd. And then he did Frankenweenie, and
Oh,
that
Frankenweenie.
and that propelled him higher. And then he got a girlfriend that was I'm trying to remember how the story went. A girlfriend at a major studio that was doing the Pee Wee's adventure film. So so she got her boyfriend Tim to direct it, and at that point, his career was basically set as a live action guy. So he was one of those amazing miracle type of successes. But the fact that he was in the animation department doing really weird things was like a really fun thing.
Is
Um,
is that how you guys like in your studio like came up with ideas and inspiration on different scenes and things like that, or was that literally just you guys just being you guys like
Bullshitting.
pretty much yeah like it's just a day in the life of more or less right?
yeah, it's like, well, back then, Um, the people that were in charge of studio kind of rose to the top. Really nice guys, um, but they weren't the directors that Disney had back then. That they kind of graduated up to it. So they're calling the shots. So all the wacky stuff that the guys from Cal Arts were doing and others, that was just like pure fun stuff. And it had a name. It was called Zane, just Zane. And I took years to really isolate what Zane was, but Zane was like a form of humor that was based on when you're antsy at work and you want to do something and you want to explode and do something fun. And so that was Zane. It was like really impromptu, out from left field type of humor. There's a film that those guys did called Luau, and it starred all those guys, and I think it's on YouTube. And you can see all those guys. You can see Tim Burton. You can see all these guys that turned into be directors of stuff. And they did this because it was insane. It was like this weird film that they made. It was like a 60s beach type film with like alien beings where Tim Burton is a disembodied alien head that was trying to take over the world and all that and got kicked into a trash can. And
So the term Zane is just like a generalized thing that's used throughout animation studios, like overall, or is it like a company specific thing?
no, it was just that point in time of history of like of the type of humor that was being done by Joe Rams, Chris Buck, and a few others like really odd caricatures. Um, well, some of the characters in the character show were really brutal. Like John Musker would do these amazing caricatures. His drawings were very much like Mort Drucker from Mad Magazine, and he would do these drawings, people just nailing them. And some were so brutal that some of the directors and producers wanted to sue him. And Ron Miller said, "No, no, you can't sue the animators." But
Well, I was only wondering because like the Warner Brothers, we could spin right into this, is because like in like the Animaniacs, right, during their intro you hear them say like, "And we're zany to the max," right? So that's why I was curious, is like if that's just a colloquial term that's used across the board or not, especially since like you have some like, experience in Warner Brothers, correct?
oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
like yeah, I've been at this Warner's for many years. Um, like I wish I was at Warner's during the really wacky times with like Frizz and Chuck Jones and whatnot. But say like when you go to Warner Brothers now, it's nice. Like, um, well, when I was working on Space Jam, we were all working at home anyway, so you really didn't have any kind of like camaraderie except through the Zoom meetings. The Zoom meetings is where I got to do like a little bit of Zane, like when I did that Lola short. Um, I was
Oh yeah, that
trying,
one was short.
yeah, like I was trying to get it done for the rap party. Like what I showed before was just the first part of the first half of the segment, but then the work hit and the work got really intense. So I couldn't really finish it. That's why I didn't do anything on YouTube from January to like summertime. Like I just didn't have any time to do anything. It's like I was working till 8 in the morning till about 2 in the morning every single day, and you're like just dead tired. Um, but but I did at least get to show it in a that company town hall during a Zoom. It was like 200 people on Zoom, and they're showing like some new backgrounds for the Space Jam. They show some new animation, some storyboard ideas, and some of the voices. And then at the very end, like, well, does anyone else have anything to show? And then everyone's quiet, like, I've got something. Like, oh, what do you have? Like, oh, I did this little thing with Lola Bunny. And so they're all thinking, oh, he did something really wacky and wild and cartoony. And I said, oh, yeah, I think you're gonna like this. And so I hit the play button, and I'm watching all these 200 heads are all going like, because like it's this dark like horror film and
Oh no.
like and one person just went like, we should be making this as a movie.
Awesome, awesome. You got
But
yeah, you got the plus
but it was,
ones.
You
it
got the
was
big heads convinced, like, oh man, we should just done this the whole time.
but it was fun that like when we're showing like back and stuff, everyone's like laughing. Oh, then and then I showed the thing I'm doing was like crickets. Like people like everyone's brain just locked up because like they thought I was doing something wacky and fun and all this, and like, what the hell am I watching?
Oh
And
man.
so after this Athena cartoon, I'm gonna take a little break, but I may try to finish that Lola Bunny if I have time. But once again, it's background heavy, and then that just slows me down. But I want to finish it so people can actually get the idea of like, oh, this might make like a neat movie or something.
I'll even a miniseries.
Yeah. Now here's a question that kind of comes to my mind is you mentioned you have these really long hour days. What was it like 8 a.m. to 8 a.m. to what was the time again?
Oh, at times it can go to like two.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. So like, you do something over and over and over every single day for so long. My question is this: like, what kept you going? How didn't you get did you ever feel burnt out by these kind of things, or like, what made you keep doing it effectively?
oh, I've been burnt out for like 20 years now. It's like I just keep like what keeps me going is my own stuff. Like when I started doing stuff on YouTube, I was just doing it just for like a small audience of just my friends at the studios. Like I would just like film myself doing something stupid, like pot smoking or something, and chasing my sister's dog, calling it the Jebediah, or and then um, I saw a tutorial about how to motion capture your animation into live action stuff. And so I did that first initial one where it was like just I just knocked out the flash mon like half a day and like, oh, that looks kind of neat. Pop that up and a bunch of the studio people like that looks really neat. And so then I went back and refined the model a tad, and then just started like filming like just stupid things. And then like uh, all the producers and directors I know like that's really funny. So like I just kept on going. I kept the channel non-monetized so that it wouldn't draw like a big attention because otherwise people will go like, what the hell is this? Because they have no context to know that this is just being done for like just a few friends. So,
Gotcha.
but now I may have to change the channel because it's starting to get popular, and so I may have to like remove the pot stuff and all that. So, or maybe move that to a different channel or something. I got to figure out exactly what to do now. But
Fair enough. All things to consider. Before we get into some of these things with like some of the films and stuff you got in, I actually want to ask first about a couple different things. I see like on your wonderful list here, there are different titles that you've gotten on some of these films, right? You got like supervising animator, just animator, lead animator, character designer, things like that. Could you go into a little bit of detail on like what each of these different titles like mean, what you do, what you supervise, I guess, like stuff like that.
oh, okay. If you're like a supervising animator, like I'll pick a character like on Atlantis, I was doing Cookie and Whitmore. Um, you usually you you're in charge of the character, in charge of the character designs. And so when animators are picking up scenes of your character, you'll help them out. You'll do drawings for them and stuff, just be able to so that it helps them stay on the model. Um, Supervising animator, lead animator, it's kind of the same thing. Um, like if you're a lead animator, that might mean like on Lucky Jack from Home in the Range, like I was the only person on that character. But then since the character did get handed out to like a few other people, but if it's like a small amount of scenes, like the eels from Little Mermaid, I pretty much did like 70% of those scenes, unless the other animator that was doing Ursula had to do the eels as well, so that they'll time up with the Ursula character and all that. But usually, when you're like a supervising animator or lead animator, it just means that you're in charge of that one character.
Fantastic. All right. Well, with that in mind, I want to spin back to Spec, actually. Spec, I know that you have a couple questions to ask about a couple certain films. So if you'd like to go right ahead, let's say it's here.
Yeah, this is a little. I wanted to ask about Looney Tunes Back in Action. I actually just watched that movie today, and was surprised at how well it held up. Do you remember any experiences from working on that specific movie?
Actually,
2003.
yeah, I think I only did a couple of scenes. It was just Bugs and Drag. Eric
Of
Goldberg,
course. Please.
Eric Goldberg was directing, and normally I never do freelance because I'm I'm usually burnt out at the end of the day on my at Disney or wherever that I'm at, and Eric Goldberg, he left Disney for like a short time to go to Warner Brothers, and he was directing it. He was trying to get me on. Like, I don't. I'm sorry, Eric. I just don't like freelance. He said, like, what about Bugs and Drag? Because everyone knows that put panties on Bugs Bunny, and oh, I'm listening. So, so so everyone knows that I'm the I'm the G-rated pervert. like like oh, Bugs Bunny and panties, okay. And so it's like, well, about Bugs and Drags, like, Eric, you're hitting my Achilles heel. I'm like, okay, I'll do those. And so all the scenes where he's in the it's in the commissary. I did those things. So that was the only part of the film that I was on. Um,
That was the part where they were like kicking around. Bugs and Daffy were kicking around Elmer Fudd, was it? Or I think it might have been Sam. They were kicking around Sam or something. I think they went into a painting, and that's what it was.
well, the only scenes that I did were it was in a commissary with a live action gal, and it's the actual commissary there at Warner Brothers. And
Oh, I think I posted a screenshot of it in the group chat. Is that it?
let's see here. Let me scan up here. That's it. Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
so he turns in that, and the girl, which it's so out of whack now. So the girl back then's like, that is so inappropriate for these times. Now with all the wokeism stuff, now she couldn't say that because like, oh, you're infringing on his or her pronouns now. So now Bugs could actually wear that and not be made fun of. In fact, you couldn't do it as a joke now. That would be considered inappropriate. So Bugs could put on a dress and but it couldn't be a joke. I don't know.
I feel a lot more PC environment, but the times, I guess the times move on. That's just how. It's what it
Yeah.
was. Say la vie. Like, all right. Spec. Was there any other things about either Looney Tunes or anything else that you wanted to ask about? Films that that took an interest to you?
Shark Tale. How was it working on Shark Tale? Was that your first 3D project that you worked on?
Yeah, the 3D apartment just got axed right after Home in the Range. For them to fire us all, they had to legally they had to pay us. They had to pay to train us in CG, and we pretty much knew that the animation department is basically gone. And so they trained us and they fired us. And so I went over to Shark Tale. Of all the films to work on Shark Tale,
That movie's
it's
I,
not
the
a good.
movie's kind of
just
good. I like it,
j-
ironically.
just keep this in mind, if anything, Sean, that while Shark Tale may not have been the blockbuster that it was, it certainly has an incredible amount of memeable scenes. So things definitely got out there, just maybe not in the way that they wanted.
Yeah, it's like it was hard. Like two of the characters, like the main character Oscar had, I forgot how many controls, but they said I think it was that character. A third of his controls you couldn't use, otherwise it would crash out the computers.
He's just
And
that powerful.
yeah, it's like so like if you use like joint, I forgot like joint number spine 3, up your computer's gonna crash. And they're using Linux at the time, so you didn't have your scenes locally in the computer. So the only way you could do it is by calling tech people, and you sit there for like an hour for them to come down and reset it. So you would just do a thing like you have your thumb accidentally hit the reset button as you go out and get coffee as that phone starts ringing. Don't you shut off the computer? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I was out getting coffee. Oh, you posted a picture here, Louisa. Oh yeah, that staring eyes.
Yeah, the
And then
staring.
and then there were these jellyfish on that film that had 3,000. It was either 3,000 or 6,000. It was a huge amount of control points. And I'm so lucky I didn't have to do any of those characters because like you had 3,000 control nodes and all the tentacles. Like it sounded like a nightmare. And the guys who did a beautiful job, but it's like, oh, it was such a hard film to work on. Um, like that was a film where they asked me, "Do you want to do any main character stuff?" And after Disney, I was kind of tired. Like, no, just give me the background fish. Like, really? You just want to do like background fish? That they gave me like some scenes of Oscar to do and all that, but I like doing the background fish because Katzenberg, bless his heart, he kept the studio up and going. Like, he kept animation going, but he can be really strict to his work under. And if you're doing a main character, well, he had you on his aims of his gun. So on dailies, like, I don't like that scene. Patang, patang, patang. But if you're doing background characters, I could walk out at 5 o'clock and go home and like enjoy my weekend. And so it was then when all the lead animators saw my wisdom, like, wait a minute, we have to work on the weekends, and he goes home. Like, yes, I'll
Yeah.
do background characters
Yes.
because Jeffrey doesn't care about those. So like I did all the background fish and all that, just like swimming around, and then I can just leave. Oh, fun story in that film. So Will Finn was a director and the head of story. So on lunchtime, he has said like, "Have you ever smoked a cigar before?" Like, nope, never had here. And he gave me a Cuban cigar. And so for lunch, he said, "Okay, now don't take any lunch. Just bring your mouth and blow it out." So we just sat there and didn't get it. Like, just making all these like bubbles.
Aren't those like weren't those like illegal at the time? I thought they were
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It sounds
No,
like that.
and so like I'm puffing, so like I got halfway done, like, well, so lunchtime was over, so I doused and I stood up and the world went like, oh my God, what is this thing a narcotic? And Will felt like, oh my God, I feel bad. You've never smoked ever in your life, right? Like, oh, like that's like if you've never driven a car and you were set down in a Indy 500 race car. It hit me so hard. It felt like I just had like 3 bottles of wine in me, and I was throwing up just trying to get back to my room. And I had no idea that smoking like a cigarette or cigar had narcotic stuff to it. I was like,
Just tobacco?
wait
Like
a minute.
I don't even know what's in a Cuban cigar, but yeah, that sounds.
It was the most like when if you're sitting down just going just making like the smoke rings like
Not even going
feel
in
it.
your lungs. Yeah, like it's like
Yeah,
huh.
like I don't get this. So why do people enjoy doing this? And I doused it. When I stood up, the world went boosh. It's like it was the worst drunk I've ever had in my life. So that's why, like, how come that's legal, but cannabis, which is kind of the same thing, is illegal? It didn't make any sense to me. But so that was my big one time I had nicotine, and it kicked my ass.
Fair enough. I see why mob bosses have to be big, strong, and imposing now. All right. Now, the last film here that I just kind of want to ask about a little bit, just because it is like kind of going back to the classics a little bit, is The Little Mermaid, one that I remember fondly in my 7-year-old state. But that you probably, yeah,
Same.
yeah, but that's you definitely remember a lot better than I do. I see that you're a character animator there. So I just like to ask, what was your contribution to that? Like, how was the studio at the time? Fun days, things like that. Let's hear 'em.
Well, I did the eels on that film, uh,
Based
which I always had a hard time remember their names like with vinyl MP3. I can I can't remember
DDMP3.
and so like the characters that you assign me to like takes me years after the film like, oh, they're called Flotsam and Jetsam, so I was calling them Flitzy and Jitsy. And so when Katzenberg had us all in a big meeting, like Glenn King was doing Ariel, Ruben King was doing um, Ursula, and so on. He was asking every question. It was almost like that comedy bit from Monty Python of Sponge. Oh, no, Sponge. So like, so he was nailing everyone. So what do you think Ariel's all about? And so Glenn's going, oh, well, Ariel was like very elegant girl and had like mommy issues or just something. He's like, yeah. And you, what about you and Ursula? And so Ruben's, well, one's for me too. And so he would try to explain what Ursula is all about. And Catch was, all right. And you, what about the heels? And so I didn't remember saying this, but Will Finn had to remind me. He said, like, you said there are two ambulatory ambulatory whoopee cushions. And that fried Katzenberg's head like, next.
Fair enough. So like when you're working in these animations and things like that, that's rather than like scene by scene by scene, they just kind of in general like give you guys characters to do across the film, or is it just like within a certain scope of the film?
Well, it depends. Like, it depends on what's ready to animate. Say, like, there's I don't know how many sequences. Say there's 10 sequences in the film. They'll have like in storyboard like scenes 1, 3, 7 are ready to go, and so you may be working on sequence 7, which is for the film. So your more advanced scenes may be on like sequence 5 when that one is ready to pop up. I did do a whole bunch of like gag scenes in that film that got Katzenberg all irritated. So like when Ariel's sisters are singing, I had to do all of Ariel's sisters. Had to do all those scenes in like 2 weeks. Where they're like, and our sister Ari, and the clamshell opens up. I originally had Roger Rabbit in there, like in drag.
Yeah.
I had
Of
that.
course, in
Had,
drag.
I
Of course,
had
in
the other
drag.
scenes where I had the robot and Lost in Space. Had the one scene of Triton at the very end where he waves his Triton and a rainbow comes out, but I had to say Edith Joe's. So on a screening for Katzenberg, the Katzenberg is sitting right next to John Musker and Ron Clements who are directing it. Katzenberg is there watching the whole film, and then when Roger Rabbit pops up and the robot lost space, Jeffrey's not impressed. Like, they're not gonna be in the film when it's done, are they? And John's going, oh no, 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 those will be gone. All right. And then had some other scene. I forgot what it was. Like some character I put in drag, and like Katzenberg just giving the evil eye. Like, what's the meaning of this? And so at the very end of the show, like a long time ago, no more gag scenes. And then when Triton does this big wave and that rainbow form says "Eat at Joe's," I think that's when Katzenberg was probably going to execute John and Ron. Like, what is this crap? So that was a bit of fun.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and I think that's the. I'm trying to remember if that's the film. No, that wasn't the film where Eisner was doing a interview from with CBS News, and I went busting in there in an ape suit, and I started picking through the hair of when the director's looking for fleas and ticks and stuff, and Eisner just like froze, like hum, 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 hum. And the news cameras went. I mean,
Well,
I don't even know
that
how to
that
respond to
actually
that.
that actually brings me to a little bit of a question that I had personally, because this is something that I'm always a little curious about myself, which is you mentioned that you had to do some stuff with like I guess in conjunction with like music and things like that. In terms of music, usually I always find that for normal scenes, background scenes, stuff like that, it's always like the animators animate the thing first, and then the music, background score, stuff like that comes after. But obviously for sung songs, like in like the Little Mermaid, for example, those things probably have to be done first before you guys do it. Is that correct? Like, what's the process? How do you guys go about getting those assets and things like that?
yeah, for underscore, you really don't need that. But for songs, those are done first so that you can actually animate to the song and you can hear the music swelling and know when to bring the character down. Um, so there's two music guys that are going. I forgot the names of the guys that do the songs, and then there's the underscore who does the overall music of the film. So the overall music film is done after the film is done or close to the end. But but they'll do like the temp scratch music, like what you're talking about. They'll lay down music from like either Jurassic Park or something, just so that you kind of get that same feel. Um, but the songwriters, which I can't remember their names right now, they would be writing the music while the story is being written. So like so they'll be in conjunction with the story writing. They'll be in the story is meetings and the character design, so that they get a really good idea how to do the song and all that. And then when the song's done, the animators can actually take that music and then you hit the beats, the swells and coming down and hitting all the proper musical notes and, and stuff. Like I don't think I ever had to animate to music in on these films, but I might be wrong because like I've forgotten like more than half of the stuff that I've animated on. People will often like will quote a line to me. Like I remember just few weeks ago, someone said like "together forever," and like is that a quote from like Star Wars? I'm like, no, it's a scene that you animated. Like, well, what scene? Like, it's the eels. Like, it is, and then like, yeah, it's the scene where they're like, oh, I I animated that. Oh, okay. Because you do so many scenes that you forget, unless there was something that you remember emotionally, like if something wacky had happened on the one day, like when I got to run to Roy Disney with my radio electronic car and all that, and that imprints, and then you remember that scene that day really fondly. But like a lot of scenes, I've completely forgotten that I've even done.
Fair enough. Hey, like I mean, that's one way to get the assets in. So I guess with all these stories and things like that, one of the things that like somebody always comes up with, you go to your friends, you tell them about like this great day at work or a really bad day at work. I have to ask, what was your worst day in your collective studios, and what was your best day in the collective studios?
See, like my best days were like when I was told you're up to bat to animate on Black Cauldron. Because when the Blues people left, like I started at Disney just doing cleanup in betweens. Cleanup is where you take the animators' rough drawings and then you just put that nice line on top of it. And I was just doing in betweens where a cleanup lead would do all the main drawings. My cleanup sensei was Walt Stanfield. He was at Disney for like his entire life. And so when Black Cauldron hit is when the Don Bluth people had left and they took half the studio. And so they said, Keller, you're up to bat. You're now a lead animator. Like, but wait, not just an animator. I went from cleanup to now you want me to be a lead animator. So thank goodness that um, during the course of that film, it took 3 years to get that film done. They kept doing a sequence. We don't like the sequence, and they would cut it out. Do another sequence, and animate it, color, we don't like it. So I was really thankful that on that film, most of my animation was cut out of the film because I was working on sequences that they decided, shelve it. But I learned about how to animate. So in that film, I was still doing I was doing key cleanup and key animation. I was doing two jobs of like fixing scenes that were coming in from of animators and doing animation, and that was a brutal one. Worst days in my film. I don't even like talking about it, but I don't know if I should talk about it or not. But it was on Basil. I love the film to death, but um, the producer had a bug up his butt and just decided just to hate the daylights out of me and just made my life miserable. But I love him to death. Um, he's still about. He's still at Disney and all that. It was probably one of those things where someone had told him that I said something about him or something like that, and he was on my butt all the time, accusing me of trying to sabotage the film um to just about everything else. But that was my favorite film and worst experience at the same time. Um, Other horrible times of like it's strange. Like when you're at Disney, you'll be held as a hero on one film. The very next film, you're literally told you're the worst piece of shit that has ever come from the pits of hell. It's like it's I mean, if they had an HR department like they do now back then, there'd be I would be a millionaire from just all the type of harassment that I was received in the past. But that's how it was back in those days, where depending upon what films you needed. Oh, let me know if any of you guys need a break. I can pause it. Hmm.
What was?
Trixie, Trixie had just typed, let me know if any of you guys need a break. I can pause it.
Oh, I'm still good to go. I'm rather enjoying these stories. I guess, I guess going from the classics, I do have to ask because this is kind of like, this is it jumped right, like from the way classic animations from more to like upwards into things like internet animations and things like that, or like more modern day things. Uh, what did they? I guess how did you transition from whatever they used in the past, whether or not it was like a software or something like that, to more, I guess, modern solutions like Flash? I know you were looking a little bit into Toon Boom, things like that. Like, I guess, how have you developed yourself? I guess through these years.
Well, it's amazing. I've learned a lot in Flash. I'm still a super novice's novice in Flash. Like everything you see that I'm doing on Flash, I know just enough that it makes it look like I know what I'm doing. So what you're seeing in Flash is just all the timing that I've learned from like the years of Disney and as Warner Brothers. In fact, I've been able to experiment with timing Flash, like zipping a character into a pose and banging around, which I you wouldn't want to do at Disney because you might waste a lot of valuable time drawing because like you have to draw every single frame. So I've been doing stuff in Flash, which Chuck Jones did back in the 50s and 60s of experimenting of just banging into a pose. Like if you want to look at a really good cartoon to adapt to Flash to make your Flash animation zippy and punchy. Watch the Barber of Seville when Bugs Bunny like bangs into a pose. Like he will just go from looking here, boom, into a pose without any in betweens, and the ears will just recoil a bit. And then when he zips out the scene, they'll be just like this one drawing bend out, and his tail is stretched. Yep, bang, and that gives like such a snappy punch. So like I started doing all that stuff. So when I got to Space Jam 2, I learned all the stuff that Chuck Jones was doing through Flash, because in Flash you could do it really fast and simple. You do a pose here, and, and then start experimenting with your tweens. Because like tweens are free and simple. Like maybe shorten it, maybe shorten it. Let's get rid of the tweens and just go bang. It's like, oh my gosh, that looks like the old Warner Brothers stuff. So like there's an interview that's coming up next Saturday where they want to have me talk to some pony animators. But honestly, I think they're going to teach me more about Flash than I can um, dispel upon them. But I can share them like all the tricks and stuff that I do in timing to make it look just like classical stuff, Warner Brothers, how to do like the most economical timing. It's not pony timing like the pony timing is much more of like a traditional like a Disney thing where they try their best in a Flash model to make it look Disney, where if you look at the garbage that I do on YouTube, it's much more like a poppy, zippy Warner Brothers type of a feel. And on this brand new Athena cartoon I'm doing, I'm really kind of starting to punch that envelope with well, how little of in-betweens can you do and just bang into a pose, especially when there's this one scene where the raptor hits the brake of the Jeep and she and Lustrous goes flying out of the back of the Jeep, sailing through the air, and there's a tree trunk with a hole, and she slams into it with her legs just sprawl it to get that same exact Warner Brothers timing. And with Flash, now that I knowing how to do it, just to bang a pose and to ease out of it, it should look just like this Warner Brothers.
Awesome.
Um, but Flash or Toon Boom, which is kind of the same thing, a puppet type of animation. You can really punch that punchy timing now, where in the old days you would risk, might have to do a lot of drawings and realize it didn't work. Where in a tween type of animation thing, it doesn't cost you any time and money at all. You can just try it and like, less time, less time, less time. But no, what about no tweens? Just bang into the pose and ease out of it.
So so I take it like your preference for these things has just slowly started going more towards something like Flash because it does take you a lot less. Like it's a lot less expensive to do these kind of experimentations and stuff.
Yeah, traditional animation, um, like the first Athena cartoon I did was a month and 8 days. If I did that traditionally hand drawn, that would have been like 6 months. And then it's commonly known that for every drawing you do, it takes us about as long to color that drawing image because you got like fill in little gaps, you got to adjust things, self color lines here and there. So we've taken one like about 6 months.
And there's of course
Um,
all the always the risk that you just mess it up too. Like
yeah, and it would and you would have been burnt out, and you've been working around the clock at 6 months straight, like that. The last cartoon I did right before I stopped doing stuff on YouTube was the flat Earth debate. I knocked that out in like two and a half weeks. Um, but if you did that traditionally, it would have taken you like 3 months.
huh.
Like in in Flash, if you get that roll going, you can do like 1 to 5 scenes per day, and you can just knock them out. Just what slows me down is doing backgrounds. Like that's why all the films on YouTube I did, I would like shoot a live action background and just dump the cartoon characters in there because then you can knock it out really fast. The flat Earth debate, I think there's only like three major backgrounds where the platypus and Linus were originally arguing and the outside of the debate hall and one master shot of the inside of the debate hall where there's a big huge thing where you can zoom in onto the main podium off to where the platypus was and then over there, so it was like three major backgrounds. So yeah, flash or toon boom is an excellent way to for a filmmaker to get a film out there really fast.
Fair enough. All right. Well, as the saying goes, is the road to success is paved by failure, or the occasional one or two flukes that you find along the way. I have to ask, is there any like series, studio stuff like that like rejected you, or that you had to turn down, like if they sent you an offer, things like that? What were some of the notable ones?
Hmm.
if
Um,
any at all.
Yeah, like can't imagine there'd
well,
be too many.
well, generally when I go to a studio, I just kind of stay there for as long as possible until it like I left Renegade. I was at Renegade doing the Tom and Jerry show for like 5 years until Renegade because it's a non-union shop. They ran into a point where they were running out of work. And so for 6 months I was just kind of hanging in there, like maybe being paid once every like 6 weeks and like one paycheck, and they were shutting down, I thought, and so that's when Space Jam was starting up. So, so then I contacted them, and because of like the big organization, it took like a long time for them to get back to me, and so they said, "Oh, we would love to have you on this film." And so then I thought I was leaping from a sinking ship just to go on to Space Jam, but then Renegade is now back. They got a ton of work and all that. And they wanted me back at Renegade, but I said I've already committed to like Space Jam because I once someone hires me, I'm loyal to that studio and I'll be there to the very bitter end. And if they want me to work till 2 in the morning, I will do it. Uh, because like the more you do that, then studios know that you're super reliable, and they can always
Of course.
uh, know that you're there to the bitter end and all that. And then when they finally wrapped up, that they said that they wanted to keep me at Warner Brothers, but there's all this like Warner Brothers is now being sold and resold, and so they're on like this like strange hiring freeze, so they don't know what they're going to do. That they might get back to me in about a few months, which would be nice because it's a union job. They pay for the insurance and all that, and which is always kind of a nice, helpful thing.
What would you
Uh,
assume that they would have you like working on? I assume that there's probably like another like Animaniac season two, maybe something like that, or is there like any other like
yeah,
season?
there's they wanted me to work on some storyboards for there's a Wile E. Coyote show that's being done in England. Um, it's called like the Acme or show. Like they wanted me on that just to hold me over till they would put me on to something else. There's a few films that they got going in the works. There's something with the Jetsons and Flintstones. But everything has been put on a hold right now with all this turmoil of AT&T selling off all the assets. They realized that yeah, you can't just jumping into an entertainment industry is more than just buying it. You got to know how to run it. Um, and right now there's kind of a freeze at the Warner Brothers. And they actually laid off a whole bunch of departments. I think Cartoon Network might be getting axed. Um,
Oh, ouch.
yeah,
Yeah, really?
yeah, so it's kind of up in turmoil. Like animation is a job where if I had kids, I would say like if we do animation, do it for fun and enjoyment, like put it on YouTube, but for money making, focus somewhere else because it's highly competitive with all these colleges are pumping out these fantastic kids that it's going to be really competitive and it's no longer the days where you can actually retire from a studio where before Disney laid off the entire department, I was just gonna retire from Disney. But now it's like you're kind of like the last of the 2D Jedi animator knights, and you just go from studio to studio, just trying to find work, just trying to make it to your retirement now. And I got 2 more years, so I can retire, Animate, and then
Two
I'll do free
two more
cartoons and
years.
yeah, I'll just do like free stuff for people and or if I can do a Patreon thing, like, well, you're paying the bills now, Patreon. What film would you like to see? Would you like to see Celestia and Luna going on a wacky trip to Las Vegas with a questionable substance in the trunk of the car? Or
Want to see that vehicle in Las Vegas with Celestia and Luna? Yes, please.
I actually something you said like make brought a question to my ears because it's something that I've heard myself throughout the years. I have to ask you. This is more of a personal thing. Is like, how hard is it to keep your mouth shut during NDAs? Personally, for
Oh,
you.
oh, um, kind of easy because no one ever talks to me. Like you literally,
Aww.
like since I tend to stutter and stuff, I've been asked to do interviews, but I was kind of like turn them down. Like I could be really drunk or on a substance before I could talk normally, but usually people that were interviewed were like with the Glen Keanes, the Mark Hens, like the super big guys. So I was never really talked to about it, which is nice because like I'm like a very private guy. Like this interview this one, the other one, and the other ones. These are probably the only interviews that I've really done. Um,
Well, I hope you know.
we thank you for that. Thank you
Yes,
for
look.
that a lot.
Uh,
This is probably going to be the last video that I ask for your help in for quite a while.
yes, and I'm
Give you
sure
kind of a break.
Spec has iterated over and over. Everybody really does appreciate you and your time. You make wonderful animations, both for ponies and the rest of the stuff that you do on your channel as well.
well,
We do appreciate you. So,
I'm still shocked. I'm dumbfounded. I'm flattered at the same time because like Athena was meant to be just a one-time gag. It was my drunken character goes into a innocent cartoon world and swindles a character to come back here and just send them on like some stupid ghost hunt.
oh, you'd be surprised just how much like this community of pony folk, bronies that like we appreciate any content creators that come around, especially like when the show has ended and stuff like that. And with all these the stories, the experiences that you have, and things like that, it is absolutely wonderful to have you along and showing that you yourself are just having a ball with this stuff. It's honestly really wholesome and really great.
Well, I might be doing some of my flash rigs of Cadence and Celestia and all that because like I thought something really funny that I'm dying to do with them. Like I could probably do it one time only as a parody. Can't monetize that, but I got something fun that I want to do with those characters that and hopefully the Hasbro gods won't kick me too hard, but to be looking like
I hope not.
Well,
right.
I mean, completely. Being honest, a lot of like the Hasbro, I guess the higher ups in that specific industry, they only went after a certain amount of animators early on because it was just starting to blow up. It was starting to be a thing, and about halfway through that, they honestly kind of stopped because there was just so much content creation that goes out, and realistically, the only people that they stopped were folks that were using assets actually that were leaked from the studio's
Oh,
own. Yeah, so that's why they went after those folks. They went after Jan Animation specifically because even though he made his own rigs and everything like that, it was that was the button mash thing, the Don't Mind at Night. That the Don't Mind at Night guy. He actually got some of his
The Minecraft
animations.
thing we showed you.
Yeah. His stuff was so show accurate that Hasbro had to come out, and he actually had this back and forth for about 6 months with the studios because he was really trying to get them to be like, okay, it's good, and they only let 2 animations back onto his channel, and one of those was the Don't Mind at Night video that you saw. The rest of them are now archived on deleted pony videos. God rest their souls. like, so,
but
but
like I wonder this thing with Celestia where because like it irritates me. Science. Like
well,
Celestia and Luna create the sun and the moon, right?
yep.
But scientifically, how can this happen? And I thought about this, like, I know how to answer this. So, you know how in like all these like shows about space and all that, how planets after billions of years lose their rotation, like Mercury, only one face always shows on the sun.
Yep.
Our moon is always. What if the world of the ponies, they lost the rotation? And it's up to the alicorns. The alicorn's main job is to just nudge the planet,
I,
nudge it.
I like it. The thing about like ponies and their lore is that like Celestia and Luna didn't necessarily, I guess, create the sun and moon. I guess they just control it per se. I guess in the show, like when Twilight gets both their powers and things like that at one point, she's just kind of scribbling it across the sky and stuff like that. It's pretty funny, pretty silly.
And
Uh,
so, like I thought, it'd be fun to actually have a cartoon where we accidentally, like the raptor or something, prevents Celestia from nudging the Earth a little bit.
oh no, it just gets super hot all of a sudden. Yeah. No, Hasbro in that sense won't really ever come after you if like it doesn't look like you stole their assets pretty much. Like Duo Cartoonist, they did that one that you were like the most impressed with. It was Luna walking through the halls. It was called The Moon Rises.
Uh-huh.
Yep, that was Duo Cartoonist. Those are the folks that I was telling you about earlier. They do their own stuff. They make their own rigs. It's in their own style. Hasbro never touches them.
Okay.
Yeah, even the song itself was like a fan song. You'd be surprised how lax Hasbro is on that stuff. Like I said, for their own eyes, if it's going to lose them profits, then they'll come after you. Or if they think that you stole their assets or something like that, they'll be like, no. But realistically, it's not as bad as folks think. A lot of those YouTube things, like every time like you get dinged or something, it's more just like an automatic thing. You could always just appeal it right away or something like that. It's usually what I find. And yeah, it's just automatic filters, that kind of thing. The age of the internet. But getting a little bit off topic on that. Spec.
Plus Hasbro cares about Gen 5 right now, so I don't think they're gonna care anyways.
Yeah, like
Yeah. We kind of like switched tracks on that a little bit actually.
yeah, we don't care about those old designs. What
Yeah.
are new designs? Well, you don't have to worry about fans copying it because they have to build rigs and they have to animate it. It's like it's not as easy to do. Oh, can we do a little break so I can use the facility?
Yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
I
Now,
paused the recording.
oh no, you shouldn't pause it so you can like after a bathroom. We need a baby.
Cue the Monty Python intermission music.
All right. I'll be right back.
All right. That is going well.
Yeah, this is going pretty great. I want to ask him next, like I said, a little bit about like his personal hobbies in the meantime. I know he's probably going to bring up Star Citizen, considering how much he loves that game.
Mm-hmm.
The mad lad.
All right.
But we're an hour and 4 minutes in
I
the
don't.
video.
I don't think that we should go over an hour 30. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I think it's going pretty well. The pacing in this is really good. The interview, he's not like rushing for everything. It's just kind of nice. I like this.
Yeah. I like talking to people.
And all the autistic things I said, I had my mic. There's a couple things I said. I had my mic muted and no BS. You won't even hear it in the recording. Big brain. But yeah, this is going pretty good. This guy is such a Chad, dude. Fucking the fact that he had to call tech support because of Oscar is just hilarious. Fucking Shark Tale, man. Especially animating like it's in late 2002 because like, the movie came out in 2003. Even though I thought it came out in 2004, but imagine animating on computers that old back then probably wasn't the funnest thing to do.
Alright, so just so you know, editing out this thing, it's going to be around the hour, 3-minute mark.
Yeah, I have it paused on my OBS, so.
I didn't know you could pause on OBS, can you? You can.
Yeah, I have it paused right now. Okay.
Yeah, there he's sneaking back in. Well, I see where we got the inspiration for the dinosaur at.
Yeah, a little bit. Alright, we have resumed the recording.
Alright, welcome back from your break, Shawn. I hope it was I hope it was a nice one, because we have another line of questioning for you. And actually, Spec does. So, Spec, I'm blaming you. Go, Spec, go, Spec.
Okay. Hello. I see you. So, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your personal, like, hobbies, other hobbies outside of animation, and what you like to do in your free time, and, like, maybe a little bit about, like, your family or something. You said you had a sister earlier, and I was wondering, you got any hobbies, like any favorite video games, or you got any pets, or any, like, clubs you like to go out to, or anything like that?
What are the many things a Shawn Keller likes to do?
Yeah, what does a Shawn Keller do in their free time besides work and animate?
Oh, my favorite thing to do is this chair. I sit my butt in it, and I do stupid stuff. But
That is
That's a
the
pretty
best
good
life to
hobby.
live. Yep.
Lori, focus. There we go. Well, yeah, like my sister has this unruly dog called Dieterson. It's a Shih Tzu or something.
Shit, dude.
And so that's when I just started virtually filming it for people at the studios, calling it the Jebediah or the Javadon. I was always trying to mispronounce it, like the beast of the Javadon or Jebediah and all that. I started filming the Huntington Beach surfing contest that's in summertime, and always saying the beast of the Javadon is trying to kill off all of the surfers and stuff. But I really don't have a lot of hobbies. I'll play some video games once in a while. I used to be all over video games, but now I'm starting to understand, when a character of old people's like, "Who's this? I don't understand it. Who's that?" I'm starting to understand it because like people are like throwing like terms at me like shipping. It's like shipping. So I go to Google shipping,
Oh no.
UPS. Like, I, I know it means something dirty because like I got hit with that term at Second Life, and a couple of weeks ago I was wearing my Renamon avatar at the GYC, and I just had my characters dancing in autopilot. I'm working in the background, and someone else was wearing a Luigi, it's a blue and black Pokemon.
It's not Luigi, it's like Lucario or something.
Yeah. And, and someone said like, Renamon and Lucario, my two favorite characters. I would love to see them ship together. I'm like, I was working like ship, so I go to Google. What is shipping? UPS, sexual mean of shipping. UPS. I'm like, it means something sexual. I have no idea. And it wasn't until the big interview that everyone in the audience like it means relationship. Like, oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
because like when you're working nonstop on your own stuff, you lose touch of what's going on in the world. Like any new saying, like I remember when I started Second Life, people were doing like the colon, the double dots, and the curve. I had no idea what that was. Like, don't you know how to do a period? Like, no, it's a smiley. Like, what? Or the double dots and a D. It's like, and so I had to like catch up on all this, and so now I just instinctively I put like a smiley at the end of my sentence because like dealing with furries at times, they think that you're being mean or something. So I put a smiley so you can see I'm being happy and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, so I'm kind of out of the loop. I'm stuck in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, and like so what all these young fangled kids are talking about, like I'm like, what are they talking about?
and
Full
and
like
sometimes that's how it
gorilla
goes.
curiosity.
And so so every now and then I'll have to ask you can you update me? Who's this vinyl MP3 again? Okay, yeah.
All right. So, with that said, I think that we have time for perhaps one more section, or maybe two. But I know our dearest friend Spec here has perhaps another thing to ask.
Yes.
What pony I want to pork, right? Oh,
Um. Well, I mean, you could, but um, how are you feeling about like watching season 1 and 2 of My Little Pony? Because you mentioned that you watched the entire thing. Were you like sitting there taking apart the animation and just kind of seeing how it was animated and picked out everything? Do you watch? I guess the better question is, do you watch other people's animations and just like pick it apart and try to figure out their techniques and stuff? More specifically, with like season 1 and 2 of Ponies, I guess is my question. It's a horribly worded question, but
oh,
something like that.
understand what you're talking about. I really don't pick apart animation. When I saw the pony show, like I only found out about I was in Second Life, and people were wearing these pony avatars. I didn't really think about it, and then I was at when the club's in there, and someone played this mashup called Seven Artists, and they had it playing on the screen and how this really adorable animation to it. And I thought, like, who would spend this kind of money for a mashup? It's like this really nice animation for taking a bunch of songs put together. And it's like, oh, well, that's from the My Little Pony show. Like, I'm like, what? Like, and so then I went to Google and like, oh, there's this show that, and then there's all these Sims in Second Life, and so that I visit the Sim. Hundreds of people are into this thing. They're all about Pinky and Snowball and Sparkle Fizzle and and all these ponies. And like, and I felt like am I such am I been living in a cave so long I don't know what's going on? And so then I started watching the show and like this is a very Disney show. I like this. It's very nice. It's very wholesome. Because a lot of animation today nowadays, as you know, I won't mention any shows like are very mean-spirited, sarcastic, foul-mouthed. Like to me, a cartoon is where you want to be a part of it. You want to be the character, be with the character, uh, be living in their world, and even if it's a bad story, like Robin Hood from from Disney, not a great story, but the characters are so damned appealing. You want to be part of that world. Like or a character like Cruella Deville. It's a fascinating character. You would love to like have lunch with this character and just talk to her, like, okay, what are you all about and all this kind of stuff.
Killing
So
dogs.
what?
Killing dogs.
Yes. Like, so where's your point with all these damn dogs? But so when I saw the pony film, like, I understand. I see what the fans are going for. It's like it's a world you want to be a part of. It's this nice, super wholesome world with really lovable characters. Um, and so like that's when I tried. Well, I feel jealous. I want to be part of this world. That's when I just like typed MLP and I just started like going through like picture to picture, and I found that picture of Cadence. I didn't know who she was, and like purple pink. She had 80s hair. Like I relate to the 80s, and I got kind of well, her hair's a lot better than mine, but it was her cave hair. So like I built the avatar and wore it there, and then that's when I had the heartbreak. Like, oh. I picked the one pony that happens to be married, and she's a princess, and I felt like a heel, like so I had to deprogram that little childhood, like I like that character, but I felt bad about it. But so like when I watched that show, I really saw how charming it was. The animation, because it's Flash, it's trying to be like Disney, but Flash has like limitations. You can't be quite like Disney. As far as like other animation, I don't really watch a whole lot of animation. I'm told that the Fizzy Pop's got her new show out, Hotel Hell or Hotel
Has been
this.
Hotel. That's the one.
Yeah, and but I've not seen anything of it. I just because like I'm usually working all the time. Like any professional in animation is going to be the same way. They're going to know so little of what's going on out there because in animation you are working from literally early in the morning till late at night, and there's no time to watch stuff. Like doing this next thing of this show of Athena, I want to do like a Jurassic Park thing, and I saw some clips of this raptor. I didn't know, but it was called an Indo raptor. So I sat down, popped on Netflix, and watched a movie for the first time in years. I just watched the film like, okay, it's an indoor raptor. I'll call it an indoor raptor, so it'll be the opposite of an outdoor raptor. And it's like a really for like a one-time stupid pun. Um, but when you're in animation, you literally are like a artistic slave now. You have no time to really chit chat. Um, like if you guys ever want to talk to me in uh, Discord here, send me a email. And because I have to have like all social media off because like you're working all the time, and if people like in Facebook just start, I just don't have the time to do it or anything. So
Big
so
distraction.
so if
Yep.
you guys so if you guys ever want to chat with me, just send me a email. I've learned now to keep my YouTube email up and on, where in the past I didn't. I just that the email was only used for uploading videos. So people in the past tried emailing me, but I would only open up that email on those days when I would have to upload something like, oh, I'm sorry, this is like 3 months. I'm sorry for the late reply, but this email was only used for uploading my stupid nonsense and all that. But since the videos have gotten popular and all that kind of stuff, so like I learned, okay, when I turn on my work email, I open up the one for YouTube now. So if you ever need to get a hold of me, email is the best way, and then I can say, okay, well, at 5 o'clock, I can do like a Discord thing.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, I think that is a good set of topics for us today. We kind of went through the whole journey with Shawn from start to finish and all of the wonderful. I guess I would say we're only skimming the surface realistically, but surface level stories to say the least. Um,
And you're one of these days where I dyed my facial pubes just last night, so I look nice and black, and I look all piratey like now.
all right. Well, we said, we always appreciate your time, Shawn. We love these stories. You're a very energetic guy, and it sounds like you're a very creative person, even now, all the way back to when you were doing this stuff and rolling down carts in your studio. So
In
yeah.
my suit.
I could tell you so many stories that if you did stuff like this nowadays in a studio, you'd be fired.
Oh,
Fired, fired.
Oh, they would have kicked her. Like I could tell you stories of what Brad Bird did and John Lasseter did. That got them fired. But if you did the stuff
Oh my god, I want to
now,
know
oh
about
my
that.
gosh, they would execute you now. Uh,
hey, the trick is you just gotta stay off of Twitter, right? Like that's the
oh
big
yeah,
thing.
like
Yeah, of
like
course,
Just
of
never
course.
go on Twitter.
Never.
oh yeah, like I don't need to be canceled because like I'll say something stupid and someone's gonna get bent out of shape about it or whatever the political flavor of the year is that you'll be executed for and all that like like I'll be executed for like you voted for Bugs Bunny? Well yeah. You son of a bitch, you're a racist and a bigot. No.
Well, Shawn, if one thing's for certain, I do hope that you never stop being you because you're an amazing person and an amazing,
Oh.
fun guy to talk to. Uh,
Well, I'm really
Definitely.
well, I'm amazed with this whole brony fandom thing. Like I never met anyone like the only bronies I know are from the Second Life, but those are generally. I'm not saying furries are bad, but there were like furries that went to bronies, and I'm kind of familiar with the furry thing, um, where I know a lot of good furries, but I know a lot of toxic ones too. That
Hey,
uh,
I mean,
we can do a whole topic about that,
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
but I would say like all you guys are like super nice and stuff, um, and I'm still thankful for Spec for inviting me to talk because that convention was the funnest convention I've ever spent in my entire life. I went to the San Diego Comic Con, but I don't buy anything. I don't sell anything. I just kind of go there because everyone I know goes there, and then and then I knew the furries before they even were even called furries, and so I went to those cons. But after a while, I stopped going because I would just sit there in like a hotel lobby, just having like a glass of champagne, just watching the pageantry, and wondering like, I could have spent this money going to Hawaii instead or something.
hey,
But
well, that con specifically happens online every year. I know you've met him before, Mr. Corpulence, on our on some of those other interviews and things. So we definitely love to have you back, especially just to have a chat, have a fun little maybe gaming, whatever, like whatever's going on that year. Love to have you on. Or if there's any in-person cons, I'm sure that there's a number of people who'd love to see you in person. If you ever just wanted to come down, come and chill, always fun.
yeah, okay, yeah, because like the only cons I'm used to were just the San Diego Comic Cons or furry cons, and I always felt like a fish out of water. But the one pony con I did go to, which I mentioned before, I was gonna see a couple of friends from Second Life. The one guy who played Luna, who did a really good job at the role play. I always felt really intimidated because like person plays the character so well. I'm intimidated. Like I'm intimidated by the character, and then find out that the person's also a Disney employee. It's like what? But when I went to the con, I thought it was gonna be like a furry con from the '80s, where like, okay, yeah, I see those. But so I walked in there with I had a Mai Tai and Hawaiian shirt. I felt like some retired like police detective, and everyone looked like really nice college art students wearing articles of clothing that remind them of the innocence of youth, like those woolly caps with the cat ears, the rugrat backpacks and stuff. It was I didn't expect that. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect that at all. Um, so yeah, like for anyone that ever mocked a PonyCon in the past, like, uh, let me take you back in time to what a furrycon was.
You tell him.
There you go.
You tell him, Sean. Bronies aren't furries. They are a lot more amazing and a lot more based. I'm sure you'll come
And
to
pretty.
find. Yes, yes, yes.
Well,
But with all this being said, I do have to ask, since we're kind of nearing roughly where we probably wanted to cut off this for time. Do you have any ending words, anything like that for likely the people watching?
well, I say keep up with what you're doing. The fandom seems to be like a really nice, wholesome fandom. Um, well, like I do know there's like dirty drawings out there. Everyone, I don't. I seem to be like this guy. Like, let's show him dirty drawings to see what his reaction. And my reaction is always something like, I've seen that. I've been furries, but everyone seems to be like really nice friends. It's like that whole friendship magic thing seems to be purveying throughout the entire fandom.
Absolutely.
So so keep up with what you're doing. I through your convention, I've met a whole bunch of super talented people. Like in the animation, I didn't know this fan animation was. I mean, some of this fan animation blows me out of the water. And I've showed like a couple of the people I know in the studio industry, and they're like, holy crap, that is amazing. Like, yeah, it's supposed to be they got jobs in studios and all this kind of stuff. And I've never seen this before. It's the most amazing fandom that I've ever seen. And it's a shame that Hasbro just chucked this design to go with this CG thing, which the CG looks nice, but you've got you've got a goose with the golden eggs. I don't know what you're doing, but maybe the CG will be good. I don't know.
You hear that, content creator? Sean likes your stuff. Keep on making it.
Yes, yes.
Don't
Keep on
stop.
creating that stuff.
Content creators are the lifeblood of our fandom, after all. And Spec, do you have anything else to say? So goodbye to our awesome viewers.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for Shawn for being him. Oh, we're going to his face again. Face cam.
Alrighty,
We need an Athena like VTuber model. Shut up.
Oh no.
Oh,
Oh no.
I've been working on that.
What?
Whoa! The
Oh!
scoop, the ending scoop. All right.
Oh
Well, with that
shit!
little teaser, I've been your host, along with Spec right here, and the wonderful, whatever you want to call this interview, the wonderful industry stories with Shawn. And
Probably
with
something
that,
like that.
being said, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out. So everybody say bye, 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 bye.
Bye.
All right.